Using your PS5 vertically will damage the console, experts say. Silent Hill 2 Remake aims to be faithful to its predecessor, and Silent Hill 2 Remake isn't coming to Xbox, and Microsoft isn't happy about that. What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to The Casual Nerd. These three topics today that we're going to be discussing, they are going to be pretty interesting, I have to say. I mean, I carefully sifted through the articles that were given to me on Discord, which, by the way, thank you guys for sending over articles. I really appreciate you guys so much. And we're just going to dive into the most, I feel, heavy and potent topic that there is right now in this lineup, where using your PS5 vertically will damage the console, experts say. I've had mine up ever since October of last year, and there hasn't been anything going on with it. I've had so many people respond back to a tweet that I made saying that their consoles that have been up since launch, they have been vertical, upright, standing tall and proud, and nothing has happened to them at all whatsoever. There's also the one report about this, and I feel like if it were more of a thing that was dangerous, like the red ring of death that we saw on Xbox 360, there would be more validity to it. I think maybe 1 or 2% of players might be experiencing this, but I'm not really sure on the data of how many players are truly experiencing what is happening with the consoles. So to get into it, it states here that multiple hardware experts claim that there is a design flaw in the PS5 that could lead it to being damaged if you use it while standing vertically. Apart from being hard to get hold of, the PS5, it's been remarkably free of controversy so far, with no major hardware problems or faults reported. A lot of people think that it's pretty ugly. Okay, this is where I feel like it's not a legit piece, and it's not professional, because when you start off a sentence by saying a lot of people think it's a pretty ugly looking hunk of plastic, that's not professional to put into an article. Why would you put that? That's not the majority of people. I think it looks pretty beautiful, actually. I think it's a stunning looking piece of hardware, but I digress. But it seems to be a very well-designed one, although certain online experts think that they may have discovered a well-hidden design flaw. Like many modern consoles, including the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5 can be used in either a horizontal or vertical position, but supposedly this can cause problems with Sony's console and even break it entirely. And then it goes into suggesting that the liquid metal used to cool the APU, the accelerated processing unit, from the AMD, can spill out and affect its cooling while potentially dripping down into other components. First of all, the AMD isn't just rocking around in there. This is fascinating to me how poorly researched this article actually was and how poorly it's written, because when you look at an AMD inside any kind of casing, it's not going to be free roaming inside of there. Unless you have prolonged usage of any piece of hardware or something of where you're traveling with it a lot, of where it's getting knocked about and it's getting tossed around and you just simply don't care about the console, then yeah, sure, I can see that actually happening. But this is a $500 piece of machinery where the controller costs another $40, $50, I think. That's just on its own. I feel as if this is so fear-mongering for people. There have been so many people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna put my console face down. I'm gonna put it on its side. I'm gonna toss it out the window." It's like people are overreacting to this, and it's because of one article. It's because of one report. It also goes into stating that if the liquid metal hits another component, it could easily short circuit or brick the entire console, whereas it only affects the cooling of the APU. It could lead to the PlayStation 5 becoming noisier as the main fans try to compensate for everything else that is going on, basically. This is fear-mongering at its finest. I mean, people will find any little thing and they'll be like, everybody's losing their minds. It's like, the Joker in Dark Knight. Use the console the way you need to use the console. My best advice is to keep it as clean as possible. Clean your workstations. Make sure it's kept in a place of where not a lot of dust can get to it. If you have a slipcover for it, put a slipcover over it. Do what you need to do for your console. Don't let unnecessary fear-mongering and opinions get in the way of how you take care of your own equipment that you've put your money into. Like, this was probably a few people that came into this guy's repair shop and they were like, "Oh, this is a really big issue." The guy wanted to create a clickbait article, or wait, who wrote this article? Who wrote this article? It's from Game Central. I've actually never heard of them before. So does it say at the very bottom who wrote the article? Because they normally give the writer credit. I'm not seeing any credit given to a writer at all. Yeah, I'm not. This is very, very strange. This is the first time that I have not seen any credit given to a writer on a piece. It's very, very odd, because normally it's either at the very top or at the very, very bottom of the article, right underneath the last paragraph, you'll see credit given to an article, to the author of the article, rather. It just says, from Game Central, Friday, 6th of January, 2023 at 11:33 a.m. And normally it has written by. That's very strange. That's also another red flag that I have with this, is that they're not giving credit to whoever wrote it. They're just giving credit to the hub that was published, that it was published in. So, yeah, just keep a watch out for those kinds of things, you guys. But yeah, let's move on to the next topic. We're going to be discussing Silent Hill 2 Remake aims to be faithful and will adjust scare factors for contemporary audiences. I may be showing my age right now, but what? Why is it going to adjust scare factor for contemporary audiences? Okay, let's just read the article. So, Chief Marketing Officer Anna, I can't read that last name. I'm so sorry. Jansiska? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Layers of Fear and Silent Hill 2 Remake. She was asked about how the team came to be the ones taking the mantle of remaking such an influential game. In quote, the fact that we're developing a Silent Hill game is an honor and a dream come true. Silent Hill 2 is a classic that shaped how our studio works on psychological horror. The name I can't pronounce said, I apologize, said to Dread XP. She added, in quote, the idea of working on this project stalked us for many years, and in 2019 we received an invitation from Konami to participate in a Tokyo game show. To our delight, Konami asked us to prepare a concept for a remake of the original game's second installment in exchange for the opportunity of bringing the concept to life, which is a phenomenal opportunity. I don't care what studio it is. I don't care if it's a studio you don't like. Regardless, this is an incredible opportunity to have. It also goes into more detail about it. Longtime fans shouldn't worry about us missing the point while we're livening up the title. We faithfully stick to the traditional story canon while remaking the gameplay and updating the graphics from the ground up. So that in itself, that's really cool. What my biggest worry is, because when I played Silent Hill 2, I did that as a playthrough on the channel, and I remember just how creepy Pyramid Head looked. I remember that kind of shiver I got down my spine whenever I saw certain scenes with Mary and James and Angie, and I was like, oh, this is just creepy. It's so good, but it's so creepy. And I really hope that the horror aspect isn't changed too much, because I feel like regardless of how politically correct you want to be, there is never going to be a game like Silent Hill that will ever be able to impact an audience in the way the original has. Because when you look at the original, it is a once-in-a-lifetime game that came out in a period when I feel like horror in gaming was switching the way the narrative was being written. So when you look at horror in gaming now, it is only here because of games like Silent Hill 2. And Silent Hill 1 and all the classics, you know, like Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, like Resident Evil 0 even, you know, I feel like there's so many things that they could possibly do to really up the ante when it comes to the scares in Silent Hill 2 for the remake, but I hope that they keep the same ambiance that was felt in that game, because that if you mess with the ambiance, you're messing with the core of what makes Silent Hill 2 Silent Hill 2. And also the notes, also the way that there was this kind of viable emptiness that you felt when you're going through the game. You feel like anything could happen, but also nothing can happen at the same time. And being able to accomplish that level of fear with nothingness around you, I feel like it's one of the hardest things to do in gaming. This article to the next one, which is the last one we're going to discuss today, Silent Hill 2 Remake isn't coming to Xbox and Microsoft isn't happy. Well, they have exclusives too. It's not like, you know, Sony is the only one with exclusives out here. I don't see Sony bringing Ori and the Blind Forest or the Will of the Wisps to their consoles anytime soon, so. Now, it states here in the article that inferred from a recent response to the Federal Trade Commission's lawsuit against it, Microsoft seemed to suggest that the Silent Hill 2 Remake is never going to be launched on its own consoles. It's been a funny few days, holidays notwithstanding, so let's bring ourselves up to speed. The FTC is unimpressed with Microsoft's arguments that its acquisition of Activision wouldn't make many ripples in the industry, which is a lie. It will make several ripples in the industry. Microsoft has said that Sony exclusives are better and much more prevalent, that Sony needs to shrink Microsoft's presence in the video game market, and that The Elder Scrolls 6 is only a mid sized game. It continues to state in the article that Silent Hill 2 is on its way to PC, though in the same way that Ghostwire Tokyo was only available for PC and PlayStation 5. Once its 12-month exclusivity is up, it's coming to Xbox Game Pass this year, which is the same thing that happened with Deathloop. But the original Silent Hill 2 did release for Xbox in 2003. Silent Hill HD Collection was first announced in Konami's 2011 pre-E3 show. Okay, yeah, so it was brought to Xbox, and then the HD Collection came out in 2011. Yeah, so the thing is with a lot of all of this that's happening, it's because of the acquisition. I feel like the Silent Hill games would have gotten the same deal as Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo had the acquisition not even been in place. You guys, that is it for me for this episode of The Casual Nerd. If you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. I make videos every day here on YouTube. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, you guys.